Good morning, everybody. This is a good day for welcome to my
Me anyway.
vlog
It's
here today.
kind of a start.
I admit that I'm not a great
been,
personality. I just
been thinking of
decided I wanted to
various
build a
things
blog.
about how to succeed in life.
I had a
think
reason
I've
for
had
it,
a
but
success.
anyhow,
Probably the
I'm
best
hoping
thing
that
for
some
you
of
to do
you
is
out
figure
there
out
are
what it is
my
you really
children,
love to do.
my grandchildren, even great
For me,
grandchildren.
for some reason,
And
I loved to. I
also
learned and loved
hope
to
that,
program
many of you may
computers.
be friends
Now,
and people
I
I've
know
met
that
in the
is never
past.
for everybody, but it was for
I
me.
can't say I've ever
And
really
for
met
me, it
someone
ended
I
up
honestly didn't
One day,
like.
my boss came to me
I
and
have
said,
met some
"You're no
that I
longer a
learned not
hardware
to
design
trust."
engineer.
But
You're
I-
now a
I hope
software
that I'm not
design
one of
engineer."
those.
And here I was
let's
doing
put
the
it this
very
way.
thing I loved.
I
It doubled my
never
salary
been,
immediately. Well, not immediately,
never
but
been
eventually.
one who thought I
And
should
it was-
get wealthy.
It was fun. I had
Never
a
wanted to
great
get
deal of
rich.
fun in my life.
But I do want
I
to give
Got to
something
make
for
a change. As a matter of
everybody
fact,
that
one of
I
the
meet.
things
I don't know.
I did way back then was
I don't have a lot of work.
I set up the transport system
I'm an old
using
guy.
the internet.
I've learned a
When
lot
you
in my
send a
years.
file
I
today,
started out life as a
it goes
as
out
a,
from one computer to another
laborer
without any
for Southern Pacific
breaks
Company.
whatsoever.
Now, Southern Pacific
and
was the only
in errors. And the
major
errors
railroad going through
don't
the town I
go
grew up
through.
in. Although there was another railroad
And as a
there,
result,
but,
you can get a
Burlington
photograph
Northern.
that you send, and you can
one of
look
my
at it,
friends worked
and
for
it looks the same as a photograph
Burlington
you
Northern. I remember
you
at
sent
that time
on
also.
the other end.
But I
Digital is
graduated
a
from high
wonderful
school
device, and
I was,
it has
really
changed
too
our
young
lives. I'm
to,
sure that every one of you
get
are using cell phones.
too much of a
You're
job.
using all kinds of computer devices.
Laborer
and these are all a result of the digital world.
RipTrack, which is
I remember switching from the analog world to the digital
repair
world.
facility for boxcars.
It was
and
quite a
flat
change,
cars,
but I
etc.
remembered the analog
And
world at the same time.
I stayed there
As a matter
long
of fact,
enough
a
to
lot of
learn
the
how
digital
to
stuff I did
do the
depended on
repairs on
the digital
those-
controlling the
those,
analog. Anyway,
devices. Anyway,
my advice to every one of you is to
meanwhile,
find out what it is
Korean
you
War
really
broke
like to
out.
do in life, and
So,
that's what you're going to do.
Eventually, I ended up
Apply
going to the
it,
Navy.
use it to add value
And
to
the
your
Navy
life and
decided
everybody
I
else's
wasn't
life around you.
cut out to be a
The
freight carman
rewards that you will get
or a freight
aren't
car
just-
inspector.
are not
but
just
I should be an
monetary.
electronics
They will be
technician.
rewards of
Now, I
confidence,
didn't even know
self-confidence,
what an electronics technician
and
was.
the
I
ability
asked
to look
the
the other
recruiter,
man in
"Well, what
the
is
eye
an electronics
and know
technician?"
doggone well.
He
that
says,
you've
"Well,
done
they
well."
work on radio."
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Have a good-
I understood that. I know what radio
Good
is.
evening, everybody.
Anyway,
I'm,
that's
thinking
just
today
exactly
trying to
what was
express
my beginning. And
one of my feelings.
I'm going to
and
welcome
one
you
of my
now
thoughts
to
today.
my blog. I don't expect to
about the fact that
do
as we grow
too
up,
many great
we
things
need to
here,
learn to
but
think.
and
unfortunately,
let you
many
find
times
out who I am and
this is
some of the things I'm
process
interested in.
that
And
has been bypassed.
I have a
People
garden.
tell you
and
how
I
to
like,
think and what
I
to
like
think.
my garden.
No way.
I have a
What we
small
want to do
shop in
is
the
like
in
in
a garage.
grade
I
school,
do some
they
woodwork.
start
not
out by
much.
teaching you to read
I,
anymore. By
also have
looking
a
at this
radio,
group of characters,
which you can
and
see
saying
over here
anytime
beside
you see
me.
that group of characters, that's
And
this word.
That's
When you
an
whenever you see
amateur
the
radio station.
FOR one after the other,
And
you say
I use
that's
it
a
sometimes
four.
to get on radio nets.
If
for,
you see
yeah,
the
I'm a
word
member of the,
TACK, that's
military
attack.
affiliated radio
But
service, and
where
I also
does
get on other more
thinking
social
really come
nets.
from?
Anyhow,
What they need to
that's
do
how
again
that's who
is
I am,
what they
and
used to do.
it's an introductory today.
You
And
should have a
thank
great
you for
big
coming to my blog, and I
roll.
invite you to come back. I plan on
characters up above the
giving
blackboard.
you something
the teacher would go through
a little bit
the
more each
roll
day. and
characters and say,
I'm going to be working on that as soon as I'm done here. Well, have a nice day, everybody.
A, B,
How
C,
about that?
D.
Bye.
In other words, we didn't learn just the name of the character. We learned the sound of the character that it's supposed to represent. Then eventually you get to the point where you learn about that some of these characters are really vowels, and then you learn the various ways that you might pronounce a vowel. There was one extra character in our alphabet up there that is not, I don't see it on the school boards when I visit them anymore. The character was O-O. Two O's together is ooh. And you M-N-O-U-P. That's interesting because O-O is not a vowel. It's a separate character. Now, you see it all the time. You look at the word B-O-O-T, boot. When you see the O under other configurations, it has a different name. Or a different sound, I should say. Anyway, we learned that if a vowel is followed by another vowel, or it has a vowel following the character that follows it, that vowel can reach around that character that follows it and tell that vowel to say its name. So when we see, for instance, B-O-A-T, we say the O, tell the O to say its name, so that's boat. If we have the word J-A-N-E, the E reaches around and taps the A, and then the J-A-N-E is pronounced Jane. Jane, because the A had to say its name and the E didn't have to say anything at all. It's interesting that we had kids in the school that didn't know how to even use English. They hadn't learned English in their life yet, but they learned to read English. They knew by looking at the word, how the word sounded. By the time they were in the school for half a year or so, they could communicate with the rest of us. They learned English fine. They didn't have to have special courses in English, and they already knew how to say the word, and they learned what the word meant. An interesting concept when you think about it. Anyway, my point is that what these kids were learning was a concept. The concept was that a group of characters represent a sound, a set of sounds. You put the sounds together, you have a word. That was a way of teaching you to think. You would look at each character, put the sounds together, and you'd have the concept of that word. Today, too many people don't look at what's happening. They don't see the what is. One of the reasons they don't see the what is they don't know how. They haven't learned to think. How do you put these facts together and come up with the concept or the actual truth of what you see? Or I shouldn't say truth, the actual honest truth of what you see. It is unfortunate that some people try to take the world a little differently, and as a result they can give you a false premise to put into a concept that is not true any longer. It's up to us to learn to think for ourselves. When you're young, if you don't learn to think for yourself, you're not going to be able to do so well when you get older. Most children, before they're ever in grade school, do pretty well at thinking for themselves. They see what is out there, and they have a thought, and they know that this and this and this are happening, this other happens. They see things more as they are than adults seem to. And unfortunately, adults are able to go against what is obvious and decide that something else is possible. Very often they have a misconception of what is really the precept, and therefore they come to a wrong conclusion, and they don't really understand the concept. Anyway, that's my thought for today, and hopefully when you grow up, and those of you who are grown up will learn to look at these facts and put the individual entities together and come up with a true concept of what's honestly out there. And don't blame anybody else because they gave you wrong information. It's up to you to look at your own information. It's up to you to make your own way in life. It's up to you to be successful. If you find that you did something and it failed, that's all right. You'll just learn something else. You learned something that didn't work, and now you can put that back in your memory bank. And next time you won't do the same thing. What do they call insanity? The idea of doing the same thing over and over and over and expect a different outcome. Let's not do things that way. Let's say, if I need water and I can't find water any other way, I'll dig my own well. If I need to eat, I'll learn to raise my own food or hunt my own food, as the case might be. Anyway, that's my thought for the day. Have a good day, everybody. See you next time. Bye.